Hi guys, welcome to Astroreader PH and thanks for dropping by for some astrology. So today we're gonna start this new lesson series of basic astrology, and this is really designed for those who don't know much about astrology at all. I understand that most of my viewers, or many of my viewers, know a lot about astrology, and that's fine. Maybe you should stick around too, and let's see if you could figure something new. So today we're going to be discussing astrology. What is astrology? What's the basics about astrology? And how do you start learning astrology? So, my personal theory based on my own learnings and my observations. I know that many astrologers would disagree and that they have their own opinions about how astrology really works. But I have my own theory, and that's here. Um, the planets and the points that are moving around the signs of the zodiac, they emit frequencies that sort of imprint upon a person at the moment of his first breath. Some would say conception, or at the moment that an event is commenced or an intention is focused. So, yeah, when you were born, when you take your first breath, the planets sort of zap you with some energies or frequencies, and these sort of charge you a certain way. And we don't know exactly yet how that happens. Our science is just not that advanced yet. But astrologers map out the results of this using the signs and the effects by observing the particular effects of the seasons or the planetary movements on people and how these things change from person to person. That's how astrology was born. And the signs, they sort of give different energies. So when the sun transits a particular sign, meaning passes by a particular sign, that gives off a different energy from where a planet, the sun, passes by another sign. So the sun would be behaving differently in Taurus and in Leo, for example. So these planets are in celestial bodies. They sort of act like antennae or stations that refocus or remodify the frequencies that they receive from these various zones in the sky called signs. And then they beam this onto us. Okay? So, when one is born or when an event is begun, when you begin an activity, like start writing a book or something, these specific energies imprint on us. And these imprints are recorded in what is called an astrological chart, which is sort of a snapshot of the celestial sky when an event commences or at the moment that one is born. So we're talking about a person, that chart is called a natal or birth chart. Okay? So a natal or birth chart is sort of the map of the celestial sky when you were born. And using this natal chart, an astrologer can figure out a lot of information about a person. His traits, tendencies, potential, certain events in his life, his attitude, his character, deep stuff. Okay? Astrology at its highest use, the best use, the most evolved use for me, can be used for self realization or self awareness to evolve the soul and heal the spiritual wounds and ascend. I think it's a spiritual map of the self. Okay? So it can be really useful in that regard. To me, that's the best use of astrology. And I think some writers agree with me on that. I just forgot who. So to find this natal chart, this is what you're gonna need. You're gonna need your birth date, your birthplace, and your birth time. And the last part is where many people have trouble with finding their birth time, because this is something that not many people know off the bat, you know. They have to call their mom or get their government issued birth certificate or something. And worse, some people live in certain areas that don't record this birth time. Some countries don't do it, and so they live their lives without knowing their birth times. And that's just, to me, for many astrologers, I believe that's a sad thing. And without this birth time, some placements are not determinable, like the ascendant. You can't determine them with precision. So that leaves a lot unsaid about a person astrologically. So that kind of leaves about 30 to 40% in the dark, in my opinion. But that's just a guess about how much information is hidden without the birth time. So for best results, you need to get your accurate birth time. And it has to be accurate for best results, because the ascendant sign changes every 2 hours. So if you just guess, and that's not going to be that accurate. So as much as possible, get your birth time from your hospital records or your government issued birth certificate. That's the best place to get your birth time. Without a birth time though, all is not lost. You can still set 12 noon as your hypothetical time. And when you do this, it's gonna be considered an untimed chart. Okay? And many astrologers already know what this means. If you tell them that your chart is untimed, they get it. They know that this means that some accuracy is sacrificed and some placements will be uncertain. So the astrologer will still be able to obtain information about the chart from the person, and maybe make some predictions, but not to the extent of accuracy that they could get with a real birth time, an accurate birth time, okay? But still, it shouldn't be an obstacle, or it shouldn't stop you from learning astrology, because you can still figure out a lot of things that can help you in life and in settling your personal issues and stuff like that, okay? How do you get your natal chart? Personally, my favorite website is to do this is astro.com or Astrodienst, because they kind of make the best looking charts in my opinion, and the easiest to read. Plus, their charts are also really customizable if you know what you're doing. So, that's a great place to get charts if you have enough astrological knowledge to do it. But for beginners purposes, you can go to this place, alabe.com free chart. That's what I started using when I just started learning astrology, and it's a really simple, straightforward website that you're just gonna have to input your info in, and it will automatically give you this chart, workable chart. Okay, so it's gonna be looking something like this. So I'm gonna be flashing it right now, as you can see. So that's how your chart would probably look like from alabe.com, free chart/free chart. And what I suggest that you do at this point is, just avoid being scared or afraid of all those details and all the information that's gonna come out there. Just do this and get a notepad and write down your placements in this way. Okay, I'm gonna flash it now. Probably flashing it in the left side now. So it's gonna be just that simple. Just get your sun, your moon, your ascendant, your Mercury, and all that. Just write it down in a piece of paper on the left hand side, and then on the right side, write the placements. You can put the degrees in there. I mean the numbers that you see, but that's not necessary. Okay, you can leave that out if you want. If But you can just leave the signs there, and that's okay to begin with to get started. Okay, now you have a workable chart, and that's the basis of what we're gonna use in the coming days and lessons. But for today, we're just gonna discuss something very basic about your natal chart, which is called the Big Three. When you start going to Facebook groups and stuff, you're gonna be hearing a lot about the Big Three. And oh, before this, by the way, I'm gonna start a game. I forgot to tell you this, but the chart that I flashed earlier, by the way, and let's get back to that. Here it is. Uh, we're gonna be discussing this chart's Big Three. Okay, and I'm gonna zoom it in now for you here. Specifically, this Big Three. We're gonna be this. This is a chart of a famous person, someone everyone probably knows. Okay, and I'm not gonna tell you who it is yet. But if you stick around, then maybe you can guess who it is based on our Big Three description. Okay, and by the end of the video, I'm gonna tell you who this famous person is. We're just gonna quietly discuss this person's Big Three for now. Okay. So yeah, the Big Three is when you go to astrological discussions, forums, and stuff. You're gonna be hearing this a little bit. It's basically your sun sign, your moon sign, and the ascendant or rising sign. Those are the Big Three. They call it the Big Three because it tells a lot about a person. It's sort of an initial snapshot of a person. It can tell you a lot already without having to see this person's whole chart. But for beginners, this is a really good place to start learning about yourself, about your natal chart, okay? Uh, so the sun, first, the sun is, commonly known as your zodiac sign or your star sign. The those articles in the magazines that tell you your horoscope and stuff. Those articles usually use your sun sign, but this is just while this is a big part of your life or a big part of your chart, it's not everything. So that's why those articles tend to not be so correct or accurate when predicting things. So this is the sun is your zodiac sign or star sign, and it's the sign that the sun was in when you were born. It's your overall character, your life force, your self-esteem, and what makes you proud about yourself, your identity, and how you see yourself. It's your public identity, your conscious nature, and your father or your relationship with your father. So let's go back to that chart that we were studying of the secret person. As you can see, this person's sun is in Taurus, and Taurus is focused on security. Okay, we're gonna be discussing the signs a little bit right now. Okay, but that's actually for a future video, the signs. But for now, we're gonna give you a little teaser about what the signs are all about. And Taurus energy is focused on security, on permanence, on conserving what they have and retaining what they have, on asset management, on food, on basic sustenance, and on simple, consistent living. Taurus is very patient, and they're very interested in the tangible things, the things that you can that you can see, that you can touch, you can taste, you can smell. They're very material conscious or materialistic. I don't want to think that I want to say materialistic because some people automatically assume that means greedy. But yeah, on the materialistic, on the practical matters, okay? They hate change. They're slow to act, but they're really steady. Slow and steady wins the race, right? And Tauruses tend to have long lives. I'm getting an idea of who I'm talking about. Not yet. Uh, it's an earth sign, so it's stable. It's sensual, meaning very interested in this, what the senses can show them. As I said, what you can see, what you can hear, what you can smell. They're very materialistic and practical. They're just concerned with practical issues mostly. They don't generally like to uh, intellectualize things. They're down to earth and just grounded. Taurus is probably the most grounded sign there is, aside from the other earth signs. So yeah. By the way, before I move on to the moon, I would just want to invite you guys to please like and subscribe to my new channel. I don't have many subscribers yet. My channel is new, and if you like what I'm doing here, then I would appreciate if you like and subscribe. So thanks. Moving on now to this person's moon. The moon in general is the sign that the moon was in when you were born. It's about your emotional or inner nature, your moods, your physiological needs, your comforts, your basic urges, and your family, your home life, and your mother or your relationship with your mother. And then let's go back to the secret person's moon. The secret person's moon is in Leo. So what that tells us is, Leo is a very showy, dramatic sign. And with moon in Leo for this person shows us is that they could be coming from a popular family or an old-fashioned, in a timeless sense, family. They they could be a tasteful family, an elegant family, and this person internally, this person's inner self is like that as well. Tasteful, elegant. The home may be showy. And there may be a lot of hobbies involved in the home. The person may be dramatic or romantic, and they have a creative inner self. They could be passionate because Leo is a fire sign. So this person tends to have fiery emotions or feelings. And surely Leo is known for its pride, a lion, the group of lions is called a pride. So this person will have a lot of inner pride, okay? That's what the moon tells us about this person. These traits are probably going to be more subconscious instead of conscious, and it'll take you a while of knowing a person before you get to access their moon. It kind of involves a little bit of intimacy. It only tend to act your moon when you're with close people, unless the chart tells you otherwise. Like, there are aspects in the natal chart that shows when a person is more likely to be transparent or not transparent, and that can have to do with the moon. But for our general purposes, the moon is sort of your intimate side, your inner side. Okay? Not many people tend to know that part about you, except only friends and family or your loved ones and stuff like that. And finally, we go to the ascendant sign, the last of the big three. And the ascendant, or what the rising sign, as they also call it, is the sign that rises on the horizon when you were born. So the horizon sort of moves around during the day, and the sign that's rising at the horizon, it changes every 2 hours. So the ascendant sign is that sign that was rising when you were born, basically. So what this means is it usually indicates something about your immediate personality, people's first impressions about you, your demeanor, your most obvious demeanor, your self-presentation, your fashion sense, your hair, your makeup, your clothes, your bags, your accessories, and how people see you when they don't know you that well. It's your immediate presence, how you act. There is a deeper meaning to the ascendant, which is it's also what you want to offer in a relationship. Because as an advanced astrological lesson, the ascendant has an opposite. It's called the descendant. And the descendant is what you seek in a relationship or other people in general as well. So, how you view others in general. While the ascendant is how you view yourself in a sense, how you want to be positioned in society, right? Like it's also your self worth, your pride in yourself, your what you see in yourself, something like that. So let's go back to this secret person's ascendant sign. As we can see, this person has Capricorn Ascendant. And Capricorn Ascendant usually presents as a formal person, a professional person. Capricorn is an earth sign, so like Taurus, they're also practical and materialistic, more concerned with the sensual things, the tangible and uh, grounded things. They're stable as well. They don't like having their head up in the clouds and intellectualizing things. So Capricorn Ascendant is going to present itself as someone who's formal, professional, or leader like, or sort of an executive, someone who's responsible, someone who's a little bit cold and traditional. That's their immediate presence, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's their actual personality deep inside. A lot that kind of thing depends on the rest of the chart, okay? But yeah, for our purposes of beginner astrology, the big three can tell you a lot about a person already. So this is where I suggest everyone to start if they're just getting started with astrology. Learn your sun, your moon, and your ascendant sign, and then read about them. Just, Google it. For example, you have sun in Aries or sun in Leo, and just Google sun in Aries or sun in Leo. Or if you have the moon in Scorpio, then you can Google moon in Scorpio and figure out a lot of things about yourself. The website that I mentioned earlier, alabe.com/free chart, when you draw your chart out there, when you use their chart generator, there's gonna be short descriptions in there about each of the placements. And, as a general overview, you might want to read those, even just from Sun, Ascendant to Mars, because those are the personal planets. So those are gonna be telling you more about you than the other ones. Yeah. So we're reaching the end of our video. Do you have any ideas about who this secret person is? If you don't, I'll give you a few seconds and I'll say it. Okay, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, the chart is actually of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of England. And if you got that right, congratulations to you. Okay, so as a summary, the big three says a lot about a person. Okay, but not enough. For much more information, you have to see the whole chart. And even then, even if you see the whole chart, you can't really define everything about a person. Okay, because not everyone just surrenders to the chart. Many people make use of their free will as well, and free will can counter astrology, as I often emphasize in my videos. Free will versus fate, and astrology is the fate part. Astrology is just our nature and how we are designed initially, how our soul is charged. Some would say how our chakras are charged, but that's another topic. These things can change, these energies, over our lifetime. And in fact, there are some parts of astrology that teach you how you can grow or change over your lifetime, particularly the nodes, but that's a more advanced topic. For now, just focus on the big three and learn more about your big three. So what are your big three? Why don't you tell us in the comments, and maybe I can tell you something about it if you say it there. In the next video, I hope you stick around for the next video. In the next video, we're gonna go more deeply into the signs maybe and the planets. So just keep your chart ready, the piece of paper that I asked you to make, okay? So, yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you in part 2. Please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.